stop the habit of overthinking.
To stop overthinking.
Practical strategies that help me stop overthinking.
Have you ever found yourself stuck in a loop of negative thoughts, replaying scenes over and over and over again in your head, and you feel distress every single time, and it just keeps happening over and over? This overthinking has a medical name called rumination, and it's a mental habit that can be both draining and unproductive. Hi, I'm Dr. Brian, and today I'm going to give you 4 practical steps to put an end to your battle with this overthinking or rumination. First, let's start with understanding what rumination is, and then let's go quickly into some practical strategies for you to use every day. Rumination is a term used to describe those moments when your mind gets trapped. Rumination typically involves very repetitive negative thoughts, and these thoughts don't lead to any productive solutions. These thoughts circle around distressing issues, and you don't resolve them, no matter how many times you think about it. Commonly, you dwell on past events or hypothetical worries, things that haven't even happened yet. And you may find yourself continuously thinking about past mistakes, missed opportunities, hypothetical future problems. If this happens, you're ruminating. Rumination is very common just before bed or when you wake up, especially in the middle of the night, and then it makes it so you can't get back to sleep. These are times when you have very reduced distraction, and this can exacerbate the cycle of negative thinking. Rumination often involves an inner critic, your inner critic, and it focuses on your mistakes, your flaws, and your weaknesses. And this terrible self-inner criticism can be harsh and unrelenting. Now, it's important to understand that rumination is different from productive problem solving. Many individuals think for long time periods over problems, but that's structured, goal-oriented. Rumination is not that. It's unstructured, and it tends not to lead toward any sort of resolution or even a definite plan of action. Common phrases that describe what rumination feels like are, I'm always in my head, or I have racing thoughts, or I'm constantly and always dwelling on things, or I just can't shut my mind off, especially at night, or I tend to overthink everything. Now, the second step to help rumination is labeling your thoughts as rumination, because recognizing and naming this process starts to give you power to change it. Labeling your thoughts as rumination can be crucial for several reasons. First of all, the first step in changing any behavior is recognizing it, because when you label your thought process as rumination, you bring it into your conscious awareness. This recognition is essential because rumination often operates in the background, kind of under the surface. And this still subtly influences your emotions and your behaviors, but you don't really directly acknowledge that it's there. Now, next, labeling your thoughts as rumination starts to really help create a separation. And that separation is between you and your thoughts. It allows you to see that these thoughts are products of your mind. They are not necessarily reflective of your reality or your true self. Now, this distancing between your thoughts on one hand and what is your reality on the other hand can really allow you to reduce the impact and influence of these thoughts. Finally, recognizing your thoughts as rumination highlights their unproductive nature. This understanding is key because rumination, unlike problem solving or reflective thinking, tends to be cyclical, like a merry-go-round of thoughts, and it can lead to increased stress, anxiety, and depression, and other unpleasant mental health consequences can really motivate you to change. Then, once you've identified and labeled your thoughts as a rumination, you can start to change your relationship with these thoughts. You start to control them, they don't start to control you. Now, the third step in solving rumination is identifying whether or not there is a solvable problem. If there is a solvable problem, set aside constructive time to plan to solve it. Now, again, rumination can be solvable or unsolvable. But if there's a solvable problem, scheduling a specific time for constructive thinking and planning can make all the difference in the world. Once you've done this, sit down, make a concrete plan to address the problem. Identify the problem, break down the plan into manageable steps, and act on it. This really helps in moving from a state of worry that cycles in your mind to a state of action. So every time your mind circles back to review the issue, you can break out of that cycle knowing you have very specific steps, 1, 2, 3, that you are working on to solve the problem. It will give you tremendous freedom. Now, sometimes there is no solution to the problem that cycles around in your mind. That's okay. There is a lot of help and power in acknowledging this limitation. Because if you recognize that the problem doesn't have a straightforward solution, accepting this can actually reduce the frustration, reduce the helplessness that you feel when you cycle and think about the problem over and over again. Recognizing the fact that what you're thinking about is actually unsolvable allows you to make a really significant shift in focus. You can now shift your focus to other problems or aspects of this problem that can be controlled or managed with planning. Now, the fourth step to deal with rumination is pick an evidence-based method to fix it. There's a number of these. One of them is mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness, in essence, is connecting with the present moment, the here and now, noticing your inner experiences, your thoughts, your emotions, your sensations, and experience them, but non-judgmentally. There are a number of really helpful apps like Headspace that can help you establish your own mindfulness meditation practice. It can be a game changer. Another way to deal immediately with rumination is singing. There is good medical evidence that singing can disrupt rumination because your mind can't focus on rumination and singing simultaneously. Sing your favorite song out loud, and when you notice those ruminative thoughts, focus on the lyrics, focus on the melodies. This will really help shift your focus. Another great distraction strategy is physical activity. Now, this can be running or walking or swimming. Something like swimming adds the stimulation of water, which really helps distract you. And there's internal endogenous endorphins that occur with physical activity, which can really be helpful to shift your focus. And finally, any other distraction where you really have to concentrate, where you have to focus, can make a very big difference for you in terms of breaking the rumination cycle. This can include reading a book, engaging in any kind of hobby that you might enjoy, skateboarding, archery, or doing puzzles of any type. And a significant number of people really enjoy cooking or baking. Following a recipe requires tremendous focus and attention to detail. This also can really kick you out of that repetitive, ruminative cycle. And finally, the healing power of nature. There are good scientific studies that show that going out, experiencing nature can have significant effect on reducing the baseline rumination levels. This is probably because of the calming effect of natural environments on the mind and the different stimulations that the sights and the sounds and the smells supply. So go outside, whether it's a park or a forest, just your backyard. Go out and clear your mind. Those are the 4 key practical strategies to help you eliminate rumination. If you enjoyed this video, try some of these others, and please don't forget to hit subscribe.